This is ITV. Certainly the best.
All right, many thanks for staying tuned. Gradually, we're coming to the end of your favorite breakfast current affairs program this morning on ITV. But just quickly, let's look at something that I don't understand how a whole lot of us don't pay attention to it, and that is elderly care, especially in Nigeria here. Now, other parts of the world, you'd find out that there are, social intervention programs, there are social security programs for elderly people. But here in Nigeria, it feels like nobody's even talking about it. No legislations on it, no human rights activity in that direction. And, it's really bothering because the fact is we're young today, tomorrow we would be 60, 70, 80, 90. And then what happens to getting care at that point when you're very, very weak? After putting in all your energy, trying to make the country better, what happens at that point? Now, I'm not talking pensions, I'm not talking gratuities. I'm talking about, having proper care at a very, very old age. Joining me on this discussion is a professor of medicine from the University of Benin, Dr. Evelyn Onibe. Many thanks for joining me, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and just to mention, I'm sure you have some experience as regards elderly care also.
Yes, some experience indeed. Like you said before, it's true that not much is being done for the elderly in this country. There may be something on paper, but practically there's absolutely nothing being done.
Okay.
But I know there are a group of interested people now who are bringing this problem to the limelight.
Okay.
Elderly care, whether we like it or not, is with us, and we can't run away from it because many more people are living to be called elderly. Just for sake of clarity, to be an elder, in the developed world, you are 65 years and above. But for us, we're 60 years and above.
Okay.
So there are so many elderly people, and we see a lot of them having problems, nobody caring for them at home. It's high time we began to sit down and think about them. How do we cater for them? And like I keep telling people, they gave to us. At this point in time, it is payback time. We need to give back to them what they gave to us when we were younger.
Okay. Why is it that outside the country you would have homes for elderly people? Here in Nigeria, it feels more like a taboo saying you're taking your grandparent, aged actually, to an elderly home just because you don't have time. Feels like it's a taboo here in Nigeria.
Outside here in the developed world, in the Western world, it is a well-organized system, and the government takes care of the elderly. Those who live in homes, the government caters for them.
Okay.
The families don't have to pay. Of course, there are a few of them because they are so well, or when they retire, they don't want to remain in their homes because those homes are not really that convenient. Like they have maybe a story building, they can't climb up the stairs again.
Okay.
So they prefer to go and stay in homes where things are probably more convenient for them.
Yeah.
They can afford to pay for them. But for majority of the elderly in the Western world, it is the government that pays for their care. But unfortunately for us here, there's nothing developed at all.
Okay.
And we know that the extended family system used to cater for us in the past.
Okay.
The grandmother, grandfather was at home, people were around to take care of him or her. But now, that has broken down.
The hustle is different. Everyone is out there trying to make money.
Yes, everybody has left the rural area to go to the urban. Some have left Nigeria to go to greener pasture. And so they are completely left at home. Okay. Unfortunately, we are still behaving like the ostrich. We bury our heads in the sand, don't realize that our problem is around. There are a lot of elderly people in homes who have absolutely nobody to care for them, or where they do have caregivers. They are caregivers who are not passionate about what they are doing. They don't even know what it entails, and so they leave them on their own. Yes, in quotes, they have caregivers, but they are not really getting the care they're supposed to get. But instead of accepting that, we say, no, it's against our culture. But culture must change with the prevailing circumstances. We have this need, and if there are facilities around that can cope for them, why not? Let culture begin to change so that our elderly can be taken care of appropriately.
Okay. On the part of the government right now, would you say enough is being done as regards trying to put things in place for the elderly?
I'm not aware that the government is doing anything physically.
At all?
I'm not aware of that at all. If there are, maybe it's not that publicized, or maybe it's in the pipeline, or it's on paper. The few places I know are private places or religious places. I know that years ago the Catholic Mission had an old people's home, but I think that has probably fizzled out. Although I'm told that in the recent past there's another place in Benin here, old people's home by the Catholic Mission. But I'm not aware that the government on its own is doing something. I also have heard that the Edo State government has something on the pipeline, but nothing has come to the fore for now. So whatever is going on is privately sponsored or stimulated. But I do know that there are places in Benin where such facilities exist.
And it's privately owned.
It's privately owned,
Okay.
yes.
Let me just ask, from your experience, you run an old people's home also. So let me ask from your own experience right now, what are the challenges? Why do you think a whole lot of people are not thinking, corporate organizations are not thinking of investing in that line?
Let me make one correction. I don't run an old people's home.
Okay.
I have interest in an elder care.
Elder care home.
Yes.
Okay.
Because old people's home, to me, connotes something that people don't want to hear.
Okay.
It's, again, that's the cultural thing. How can I remove my mother or father from my home and take to another home?
Okay.
It's
So
a
an
care
elderly
center. Yes, elderly care center, where they can come for daycare.
Okay.
Like you drop a children in the daycare center in the morning
and pick them later.
And while they're there, they can interact with themselves. What I can discuss with my peer, you probably can discuss it. So I probably feel more comfortable to discuss with my peer. So when they gather themselves in that kind of place, then their well-being is a lot better. Then we also have facilities for short-term stay. Like if you have an elderly person in your home, you're going on a vacation.
Okay.
We can give you some respite. Keep the person there for the 2-3 weeks you're away. We care for that person. And then long-term care.
Okay.
They can stay there for as long as they. So we have those facilities. But the response is very poor because the culture thing is so big against the concept that we're trying to drive home. But I think that we need to begin to sit down and realize that this problem is with us. We need to begin to tackle it. And it is time for us to pay back to these elderly people what they gave us as youngsters.
Okay. All right. So the thing is, culture is the major challenge. Tradition is the major challenge.
I believe so. I believe so. I believe so strongly. But I believe so. I believe so.
Okay. So if you had to, put an advice out, to everyone watching right now, what would it be as regards elderly care? You say don't call it old people again. Elderly care. So, as regards elderly care.
The elders. In fact, indeed, I'm an elder.
Obviously.
I'm above 65, so I'm an elder, so I can begin to talk knowing the problems that the elderly people face. They have peculiar problems. There are people who are old, they need to be taken care of. They have joint problems, they can walk like they would, they need care, somebody who knows what these problems are. They are more prone to some particular medical conditions. And you who is working, maybe like 8-10 hours away from home, you're not there to look after her. So you need to take her to a place where he or she can be looked after. Okay. Where there are caregivers who have the experience, who have been trained to look after this kind of people, and they have the passion for the job. Okay. Then apart from that, they are kept busy rather than staying in one spot at home from the time you leave home and come back. They are kept busy with games, they interact with themselves, they go for outings. So they are kept busy, and the quality of life will increase if these things happen. And of course, for those who require it, some kind of exercise or the other, they do need it. So we need to have a different mindset to how we take her. It's not just enough to say, oh, I have put the food there. It may not be able to stretch her hand to pick up the food. Somebody needs to give that person the food so that we know that he has actually eaten. I know the story of somebody who, yes, they will give food, but the food will develop mold there because she's not able to get up to take the food or even warm it. They're not able to do certain things. So there are special things that they need that we need to provide for them, and some centers in Benin are able to do that. I also know of another center in Benin where they can go out for recreation. Just go there, play, and go back home. That gives them quality life.
All right. So, advice to the government as we wrap up right now.
Oh, government needs to begin to appreciate that the elders are here with us. We can't run away from them. In fact, we all pray that we become elderly. So they need to set in place something. If they cannot have facilities on their own, they should support those facilities already existent so that those ones can give the best possible care for the elderly.
All right. I'm going to say thank you so much. Wish we could do some more. But we've got to go right now because of time. Thanks a whole lot, Prof, for coming through this morning.
Thank you, Bamidele, for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and that's how we wrap it up on TMI this morning. Do remember, the elders are here with us, right? And the amount of care we give to them today determines what we'll get tomorrow. Nature, has put that mechanism in place. It's called the law of karma. What you give is what you get. All right, if you don't pay attention to them today, you get to that point tomorrow, nothing is on ground. You also wouldn't get any care. All right, so I think the government particularly and multinational companies also, need to take this up as corporate social responsibility and make sure we have elderly care centers across the country. It would help a whole lot. It would help a whole lot.
This is ITV. Certainly the best.